On today's episode of the DuckZone503 Podcast, we're going to be recapping and reacting to number 6 Oregon's blowout 31-7 win over the Oregon State Beavers. We're also going to take a look at the other Pac-12 games that happened over the weekend. Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. We'll touch on that as well. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Let's get into it, baby.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast, talking all things Oregon football, with your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. The date is Sunday, November 26, 2023, and I am happy to be with you once again. The Ducks are coming off a very, very impressive win in Austin Stadium, 31-7, the final score, possibly the last Civil War we're going to see as the 127th Civil War goes the Ducks' way. And if this is really the last Civil War, we've been hearing rumblings of a matchup possibly continuing. We got rumblings of, there's some articles out there. Shout out James Crepia for, putting this out there, this information, but possible that Boise State's on the schedule for next year, a home game for Oregon. It's possible that Boise State wants to buy that out, move the games in the 2030s, and we could possibly put Oregon State there. I don't know. There's nothing happening in stone yet, but there's rumblings of that happening. We're going to see as we move on. But as of this moment, the Ducks hold on to a 68 win, 49 loss, and 10 tie series lead over the Beavers. Now, this game that held a lot of weight. It held a lot of weight coming in because the Beavers won this match last year in Reser Stadium, where they upset the Ducks 38-34. They were the more physical team. They got they had some not so nice things to say to the players and the players' parents coming off the field after that game. And Dan Lanning and the players made this one personal. They had that highlight reel last year playing on a loop all week, reminding those players of what happened last year, how little brother Oregon State was the more physical team and pushed you around for 19 straight runs and still won the game. Not only that, though, why was this a big game? Think about this. If Oregon was to drop this game, and, not only would Oregon possibly not even make the Pac-12 title game, but imagine if Dan Lanning dropped this Civil War game going 0-2 against Oregon State, and also that would effectively mean that he would be 0-4 against his rivals. Now, it could have been a complete dumpster fire Friday night for the Ducks, but Bo Nix at quarterback, Dan Lanning as the head coach, Tosh Lupoi leading this defense said nope and dominated this game, locking in their spot to the Pac-12 title game, where they're going to get an opportunity to get their revenge on another rival, Washington, who beat them early in the season in a very close matchup. Now, Washington won their game against Washington State this week very narrowly. We're going to take a look at all the rest of the Pac-12 games, kind of break it down, give the thoughts over the weekend of what happened. But Washington, a little sneak peek early here, won the Apple Cup 24-21 on a game-winning field goal, capping off their first 12-0 season since 1991, and also the first team ever to go 9-0 in the Pac-12 to have a clean slate. Big-time stuff from the Huskies, man. This is set up for a big-time game, probably the biggest Pac-12 championship in my lifetime. It's going to be exciting in Las Vegas. We're going to be previewing and predicting that game later this week. To not miss out, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. I'm giving you guys 2 podcasts a week, recruit interviews, and the latest updates, quickest updates straight to your phone. Follow our social medias at DuckZone503 on Instagram, all platforms. Make sure you're locked in there. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please rate us 5 stars. Appreciate all my Spotify listeners. You guys are some real ones out there. We're talking all things Pac-12 ball on to the Big Ten next year. Man, it's going to be awesome. Make sure you're locked in here. All right, guys. As you know how I like to start these recap and analysis episodes, we're going to do a quick game recap of what happened in case anybody missed the game out there. So, Oregon would start the game with the ball and take it right down the field thanks to Bo Nix and his efficiency all year long, what he's been doing. The Ducks would take it right there into the end zone and score on the first drive of the game. Bo Nix to Bucky Irving. It was a swing pass to the left. A long 8-minute and 49 drive. There's a couple long drives from the Ducks in this one, but nonetheless, they punch it in. Ducks go up 7-0 off the first drive, a long first drive. Nonetheless, get it done. Beavers would get the ball and try to get their run game going with Damian Martinez. You know, this was the plan. DJU in that big physical O-line. You know, that would be the attempted recipe of success for Oregon State in this game is run the ball, be the more physical team against the Ducks on the line of scrimmage. It worked for them last year, so they tried it again. Unfortunately for the Beavers, they just ran into a massively upgraded defense and front seven for the Ducks this season, completely shutting anything the Beavers are trying to do down. As far as a run game, as far as a pass game, it did not look pretty. We're going to get into stats in a few seconds here later in the podcast, but you know, the defense was absolutely credible once again, man. Shout out the defense for stepping up this season and holding the Oregon State Beavers just 7 points. And we'll get into stats here, man, but it was absolutely insane. Ducks would later get the ball back, and it was the Ducks run game that got things going on this drive. Bucky Irving was physical. Bo Nix was starting to use his legs. I'm starting to notice this now. He's starting to use his legs later in the season. Now that we're towards the end of the season here, we're starting to see Bo Nix being used in the read option game and having more freedom to really take off and use his legs, something we didn't see earlier in the season that is so beneficial of what makes Bo Nix dangerous. We just really haven't seen. He's really been doing it with his arm, and that's what makes him even more dangerous coming down the line here is using his legs can add a whole another part to this offense, which is going to be fun to see moving forward. You know, that would also prove to be effective in this game as Bo Nix scampered on a 16-yard run to the end zone to put the Ducks up 14-0 early in the second quarter. Now, right after that, the Ducks would get a quick stop, get the ball back with a bunch of momentum in this game. Crowd was rocking. Fourth largest crowd in Autzen Stadium history. There was a lot of Beav fans there. Man, what a game, what an environment this was. Jordan James, Bucky Irving really got going in the middle of the second quarter here, chewing up a lot of yards, a lot of clock as well. But unfortunately for the Ducks, the Beavers would hold on defense, and Camden Lewis, this is something we have to be worried about. Look, there's not a lot to be complaining about as a Duck fan this year, right? Offense is putting up points. We got the Heisman quarterback. We got skill position players everywhere. Defense was a little bit of an issue last year, but look how physical they are. Guys are in place. Guys are making tackle in space. Secondaries covering. Front sevens absolutely disrupting everything. That's probably the strength of this Oregon team is that front seven. And it's been absolutely physical. But one thing that has been a weakness and continues to be a weakness that scares me heading into, you know, bowl season, playoff season, championship season for Pac-12, we're going to be playing in some hotly contested games, some close games where field goals are going to matter. Field goals are going to count. And unfortunately, ever since Camden Lewis missed that field goal in Washington when we dropped that game, he has not been the same type of kicker since. Something is obviously messing with this guy's head. He would go out there to attempt a 42-yard field goal in this game and miss it to keep the Ducks off the board. Beavers will get the ball back with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter, and the Ducks had an opportunity to get the Beavers off the field quickly and have a bunch of time left on the clock. But the Beavers on a 3rd and 11, guys, 3rd and 11, shout out to DJU. He showed why he's considered a top quarterback in the Pac-12 and made an absolutely beautiful throw to the other side of the field to keep this drive alive for Oregon State. Oregon would get another opportunity to get Oregon State off the field on the same drive, this time on a 4th and 1 on the Oregon 13-yard line. But Oregon State would use their physical run game to pick up that 1 yard and keep this drive alive. Then on a 2nd and 9, not too much longer than that play, from the goal line, DJU uses the play action pass to freeze the defense, the Duck defense, for a split second, which allowed his tailback to leak to the left side of the field and make the catch. Ducks miss a tackle on that play, and he's in the end zone for a Beaver touchdown, cutting the lead 14-7 right before the half. The only issue was the Beavers just left too much time on the clock. It felt like Beavers were really getting beat by 4 scores at this point. That's what it felt like in the stadium. It felt like the Ducks were just kicking ass, but you look up on the scoreboard, and we're only up 1 score here. Beavs get the ball back in the second half, and it just felt like, just like that, the momentum was starting to shift to Oregon State right before the half with 58 seconds on the clock. That's too much time for a Heisman front runner just like Bo Nix. Speaking of Heisman moments, guys, we're going to look at this play. This is right before the half. So mind you, We got 58 seconds left when we get this ball. Bo Nix, that's all he's got. He takes us down the field towards the red zone, right? We're right in the, right over the 50 here. Where are we at? Let's see. We're on the Oregon State 41-yard line. I'm going to play this clip for you guys. If you guys want to see what a Heisman moment is, there's 20 seconds left, a 2nd and 10, 20 seconds left before the half. Ducks are only up 14-7. Momentum's all on Oregon State's side here. This is something we've seen all year long. I'm going to play the clip. Bo Nix snaps it. He's going to roll out to his right. He's going to hold it, chuck it to the other side on the left side of the field, find Troy Franklin wide open. Troy Franklin escapes a tackle and gets it into the end zone. One of the more special plays, guys, that I have seen from Bo Nix since he's been here, and he's just been absolutely phenomenal, guys. I mean, oh my goodness. Like, the touchdown to Troy Franklin, Bo Nix. How many times have we seen this connection this season? Ducks would go up 21-7 off an absolutely crazy Heisman type play from Bo Nix. Throw across his body, across the field, plays perfectly in Troy Franklin's arms, and he does the rest for a 41-yard touchdown pass from Bo Nix. A touchdown like that, guys, right before the half, will certainly take the wind out of your sails, and it certainly did for Oregon State because they wouldn't score since. That touchdown they had in the first half, that was it. And Oregon would go off to rattle this game off. Oregon would get the ball back in the second half, and the Bo Nix to Tej Johnson connection really started to heat up in this game. The brotherly connection between these two have been spectacular all year long, but really especially in this month of November, Tez has been going off, along with Bo Nix trying to find him. Tez has the opportunity now to do something special this season in his first year as a Duck. We're going to talk about stats and more records that he's going to be breaking here soon. Troy Franklin also broke a record. We'll get into all that, but we're going to continue on with the recap here. The Beavers would hold the Ducks to a 25-yard field goal that would prove to be good by Camden Lewis. So it seems like anything within 30 were pretty safe with Camden, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, anything more than a 30-yard field goal really scares me with Camden, especially if it's like a late game situation. We need him to make it. I'm really hoping Camden gets his confidence back because he's a good kid. He's really kind dude, really hard work ethic, but I just feel like he needs to get his mind right, man. Get his mind right, get it where it needs to be for this championship run that the Ducks are looking to be on here. The Ducks, would hold the Beavers to 0 points in the third quarter, making the score 24-7 when it was time to shout, and shout we did. The final Civil War. Beaver fans all around me had a great time. I mean, there was some hostile activity throughout the stadium, but as a whole, Beaver fans came to party, came to have a good time because they knew this was possibly the last dance. Toward the end of the third quarter, another note here is wide receiver Gary Bryant Jr. got tangled up with a Beaver corner on the sideline and went down awkwardly right on his back. It appeared to take the wind out of him, but I didn't see him come back into the game after that. I'm really hoping he's okay moving forward because, one thing that's been a blessing for Oregon this year, in all honesty, is they really haven't had too many significant injuries on the year. So knock on wood here because, we're seeing some other playoff teams around the country really getting hit with that injury bug on key positions for their team and affecting their team's performance. And knock on wood, the Ducks, they've had Noah Whittington, their second string running back go down. But other than that, they've been pretty healthy. And they're completely healthy. They went through the season, so just keep knocking on wood through this championship run. Keep our guys up. Gary Bryant Jr. goes down. Dan was kind of asked about this after the game. He said that he talked to Gary, and Gary seemed okay. So looking at that, I hope that's good sign. That's good sign moving forward, and it's good that Gary Bryant's saying he's okay. But that doesn't mean that everything's okay. Okay, we're gonna have to monitor that going farther into the week as we get closer to Friday for the Pac-12 Championship. At the top of the fourth quarter, Oregon was set up beautifully in the red zone on the Oregon State 2-yard line, and it was coming, guys. Right after that, Austin crowd got done shouting with their Oregon State brethren one last time. Jordan James will punch it in for the final score of the game. Ducks would go up 31-7 early in the fourth. Also in the fourth quarter, beautiful moment. True freshman defensive Mateo Ugiagle will record a sack on his brother DJ in the fourth quarter. which was a play that everyone was looking forward to see. I posted this on our social medias. Be on the lookout for this. This is a great storyline. Let people know in case you didn't know already. Mateo Ugiagale, defensive end. The brother of the quarterback, DJ Ugiagale. DJ has been actually coming to Oregon games. He's been trying to keep it low key, but he's been coming to Oregon games to watch his brother Mateo perform as a college athlete. You got to think about DJ's been in college for a few years now. He's a senior. Now he's got his brother who's a freshman at Oregon. He's going to be cheering on his family, of course. Yeah, I know it's Ducks versus Beavs, but this is what made it an extra special one, an extra special Civil War. The last time in the Pac-12, the last Civil War against these two brothers. I mean, so many storylines going into this. It's just a storybook ending for the Pac-12 and the way this is ending. You got the Ducks going up against Washington again to avenge their loss. Washington's undefeated for the first time since 1991. I mean, the Pac-12 is absolutely fireworks this year. You couldn't ask for a better ending. I'm here for it, guys. So final thoughts on the game. Let's just kind of touch on some stuff here. Let's talk about the defense. I want to start with the defense because I feel like that's what won this game is the defense came to play tonight. Absolutely dominated up front against an Oregon State team that was averaging, nearly over 200 yards a game on the ground. One of the better rushing attacks in the conference. Two of the better backs between Deshaun Fenwick and Damian Martinez. I mean, this is a team that put up 268 yards rushing on the Ducks in this matchup last year. The Ducks held Oregon State to only 59 yards rushing total this game, guys. That's the lowest rushing total for the Beavers against Oregon since 2011. Lowest rushing total for Oregon State since 2019. And that was against Washington. The Ducks, this is absolutely insane. The Ducks held Damian Martinez, the Oregon State running back, Damian Martinez, to only 38 yards total on 13 carries. Guys, that is 2.9 yards per carry. Every game that Oregon State has played this year, they have averaged more than 4 yards a carry every single game. No defense in the Pac-12 has stopped them like the way we did. And this is something that has been a big strength this year. Shout out Brandon Dorlish, Jordan Birch, Jeffrey Bassa, being a huge part of this defense and stuffing things up front, making sure the Ducks are just more physical, more physical team on Friday night and more physical overall this year than they were last year coming out to play. The Ducks defense held DJU to only 220 yards passing and forced an interception on them. Not many explosive plays given up in this one. And the biggest thing is the way they shut down the Beavers run game, man, constantly keeping on the Beavers on third down. This is a big stat I said coming into the year for this Duck defense. We need to get teams out the field. Look, the 2 years prior from this season, the Ducks were one of the worst teams at getting teams out the field on third down. One of the worst teams. They're also one of the worst teams at missing tackles in space. Well, this year, they improved the tackling in space. A lot more players are making tackles in space this year for the defense. And what do you know? You're able to get teams off the field where you can make a lot of tackles in space successfully. The Beavs on third down in this game were 3-11, which proved to be very, very vital in this one. Beavs on fourth down, they certainly went for it. They certainly were aggressive. They only were 2 of 6. Jonathan Smith, 2 of 6 on fourth down. Great job by the Ducks. On important downs overall, that's 5 of 17 getting off the field. I'll take that ratio every time. And like I said, last year, this was a major area of concern. Coming into this season, it was a major area of concern. And I'll tell you now, at the end of this season, it's been 12 games. I feel very confident. Every time this Duck defense gets on third down, when I start screaming that, I have a good feeling that this Duck defense is going to get that offense off the field, man. It's been an absolutely special year this year on both sides of the ball. And do not take it for granted, man, because the way the Ducks are playing this year is going to be something to remember, something to hand down to the grandkids, something to tell, hey, that 2023 Oregon football team back in my day, that was a championship team. And I honestly feel if Oregon can play their A game in this Pac-12 championship and get this one game, get their shot in the playoff, I don't think there's one team this year that looks like the clear-cut favorite. Like, you can look at the Georgia team the last 2 years, and they're a damn good team this year. I'm not taking anything away. I don't think that Georgia team's as good as the last 2 Georgia teams, and I think Oregon can beat any other team besides Georgia this year, in all honesty, if I'm just going to put it out there. Oregon finished the regular season this year with the 16th best total defense in the country. And that just makes my jaw drop, man, because coming into this season, all I really wanted was like a top 50 defense. I would be happy with number 50, number 49. I'd be let's go. And we're at number 16 in year 2 of landing. Because last year, I think Ducks in total defense were like near the 80s or 70s. Some were really bad. I know we were really bad last year on defense. And to see this jump from there to top 20 in the country in just year 2 of landing, and you see the recruiting classes, go take a look at the 2024, 2025, and if you really care, 2026 recruiting classes that Oregon is already stacking up at the time of this recording. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait till Dan Lanning gets his guys in like year 3 or 4. I'll say it again. Look, I've been saying it on this podcast for a while. If Oregon continues to have elite defenses under Dan Lanning, they will continue to be college football playoff contenders, no doubt. Look, Lanning can recruit with the best of them. Most importantly, he can develop with the best of them. We've seen some places, Texas A&M, USC, some places, grab all the talent, but not be able to develop. And look, this is the difference. Lanning, where did he come up from? Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. Those 2 coaching trees right there. That's what he came up from. National championship coaches, 2 of the best coaches in this sport. Our guy, Dan Lanning, is building a national championship contender in Oregon. I here at Oregon, I can feel it, man. I can feel it in my soul, man. This Duck team is special. We're led by Bo Nix. We're the Heisman contender. We got skill positions everywhere. We got the run game. Most balanced offense in the country. Most consistent offense in the country. Put up 30 points per game every game this season. Mr. Consistency is the name of the game, and that's what this Duck offense does. Defense. We go against Utah. Everybody's talking about their physicality. Everybody's talking about their run game. We go against the Beavers. Everybody's talking about their physicality and their run game. We shut down Utah under 100 yards rushing in that matchup. And this one, under 60 yards rushing for the Beavs, man. Record lows. And it's all to this front 7, man. Being more physical. Being the stronger team. Beating your man one-on-one. Being aggressive. Playing with your head. Playing with focus. You can see it with this defense. And I'll always say it, man. Oregon, this Oregon O stands for offense. Not zero national champion, it stands for offense and putting numbers up on the board. And if we can match it with a defense, and Lanning, you know him. He's all about that defense. That's what I'm saying. Watch out. College football playoff. And I honestly do, man. I might be biased here. I'm an Oregon fan, but I really feel that Oregon can beat any team in the country if they play their A game. Now, Georgia, I just feel, look, I'm just being honest. I feel like Georgia is the one team out there where they just have so much talent alone where you can play your A game and still come up short. But besides that, Ohio State, give me Michigan, give me Texas, give me Alabama, give me anybody you want to throw out there in the playoff. I think the Ducks could fare a good chance, a damn good chance against any other team. And you know why? It's because it's offense, man. This offense has been consistent, most consistent in college football. You want to argue about it? Look up the stats, man. Scoring 30-plus points in all 12 games played this season, led by Heisman front runner Bo Nix. Another day in the office for him, guys. 33 of 40 passing, 398 total yards, 3 total touchdowns on the day. Look, this is just how special he's been. I go through those numbers. I'm just like, yep, another day in the office, just another game for Bo Nix. But what we're actually watching here, like what we're actually experiencing and living through, is actually insane. Like, just wait till Oregon gets a quarterback where it's like 200 yards, maybe 250 is like a pretty good game for him. If Bo was to throw for like 250, 200 yards, we'd scratch our head and be like, what the hell? Look, this would have been a career number type game for any other Oregon quarterback just a few years ago. So let's take Bo as a giant blessing to this Oregon football program, man, and just so glad he's here. Not only is Bo on any given Saturday a star magician on the field, completing over 78% of his passes, 300, 400 yards per game, 4, 5, 6 total touchdowns on the game. This has been a week-to-week basis. But he doesn't only give you numbers. Watch him on the field. Watch him with his teammates. Veteran leadership that a championship team needs in their locker room. That's what Bo Nix is for this Oregon team. When Oregon For example, when Oregon lost to Washington, you guys remember that close loss, emotional loss mid-season. They could have called the season a wash. They could have said, you know what, man? It was all good, man. But they didn't. Matter of fact, Bo Nix and this Oregon team actually raised their game to a whole nother level that we haven't even seen before since that loss. This Oregon Duck team is playing their best football at the exact right moment. And that's the key thing on championship teams. Another player that, has just been playing out of his mind this month in November especially is wide receiver Tej Johnson. We touched on it a little bit. Finished this game with 11 catches, 137 yards. Troy Franklin right behind him with 9 catches in this game, 128 yards and a touchdown. And look, guys, Tej Johnson is just 58 yards away from 1,000 yards receiving. 58 yards. And if he was to hit that mark, it would be the first time since 1998 where 2 Oregon wide receivers reach over the 1,000-yard mark in a season. In 1998, Damon Griffin had 1,038 yards receiving, and Tony Hartley had 1,015 yards receiving, where the Ducks a pair of wide receivers would reach over 1,000 yards in a single season. And just credit Will Stein there, right? Because Kenny Dillingham, we all remember before Kenny, we had Mario Cristobal and Marcus Arroyo running this offense. It was like the Stone Age offense. It was run up the middle, run power. We're lucky to score 30 points per game. We felt good if we scored 35, right? That was the Mario Cristobal offense. And to see Kenny come in and really expand it, throw deep, have the vertical game, have Bo really come into his own that first year, and to see Will Stein now step in and just take it to a whole nother level where we got 2 wide receivers reaching this 1,000-yard mark. He's bringing in guys all over the place. He bring in Tej Johnson from Troy. He bring in, Trayshawn Holden from Alabama, Gary Bryant Jr. from USC. I mean, these are guys who have really, really came in from the transfer portal and made an instant impact on this team. So it's great to see Will Stein, run this offense and make it look the way it is, because Oregon's offense is one of the best in the country, if not the best, arguably. In this game, the run game was, the only thing that they were only able to gather 113 total yards, which is obviously significantly lower than the season average for the Ducks. And look, guys, credit to the Beavers up front for making things tough. But this is what I said in our preview and prediction episodes. I didn't think the run game was going to be necessarily needed here. I think the Ducks on the outside with their wide receivers were going to be able to create some matchup problems against this Beaver secondary here. I thought with their, pure speed and athleticism on the outside, I thought that would be able to take over the game. And overall, very impressed with the Ducks in this team in this one. Big time win in this game where it wasn't very competitive and it was kind of controlled by the Ducks throughout. Best of all, the Ducks get revenge on their long rival, and they're obviously, probably not going to see him again. They get the last laugh here, and that's awesome. Now they get the opportunity to go play another rival in the Washington Huskies and get another revenge game. And how awesome would it be for Dan Lanning? The one knock on him has been, hey, he's been winning all these games, but when it comes to the rivalry games, he's been losing them. And some of it has been to his coaching decisions. Well, in the season where you lost to the Washington Huskies in the regular season, how fun would it be for Dan Lanning to get the last laugh against Oregon State, then the week after go win the damn championship over the team that beat you twice now, and that you had some coaching decision that kind of affected it. I feel like he's going to take this one real personal against Washington. And just the rivalry is so alive in the Northwest between Washington and Oregon, and the fact that we're going to the Big Ten and carrying this thing in. The Pac-12, man, you can't, like I said, you can't not write a better storybook ending than this. Look, this season has officially reached a mark that's special to me. I'm going to be real. 11-win season, the season that Bo Nix is having, he could potentially win a Heisman here. With Oregon going to play Washington, who's undefeated, sitting in that college football playoff spot where Oregon wants to be. And they got the opportunity, they're within range with that one loss to Washington, to potentially punch their ticket to the college football playoff, a place that we haven't been in nearly a decade, guys. I mean, come on. Heisman, Pac-12 title, college football playoff, and even national championship could all still be in the picture for the Ducks, man. We're so blessed. And if I'm going to be honest, man, I really do think this is a real shot for the Ducks to have the best season ever in history as a Duck fan watching this team. We can have a Heisman who's playing at a Heisman level right now at the quarterback position. We have a top 20 defense. We got two guys who can be starting caliber running backs on almost any team in the country. Two of them, Jordan James, Bucky Irving. Wish Noah Whittington was still up here. We have a young and motivated, hungry head coach leading this team, guys. We have all the opportunity in the world to make this season something extra special. And this last Friday night against the Beavers was the first step to those goals. And now next Friday, it's going to be step 2 towards those goals against Washington. We're going to have our preview and prediction episode coming out later this week, guys, so make sure you stay tuned. This is now Oregon's 4th time they have won 11 or more games. They did it in 2010. They did it in 2012, 2014. And now, like I said, this is a special season, folks. You can now mark 2023 in the record books as an 11-plus win season. Very impressive stuff from the Ducks this season. Let me get a sip here. Water is essential for the podcast. Essential. The Ducks have been absolutely impressive, guys. 11-win season. Mark it in the books for only 4th time. Only the 4th time in program history. And we're living through it, man. Do not take advantage of this time. It's been so impressive. And you know what else is impressive, guys? Winning money and watching sports. I'm in love with Mojo Fantasy. It's a crazy new app that turns sportsbook odds and selections into fantasy contests. Here's how it works, guys. There are thousands of NFL and MLB player props. You build a portfolio, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. Pick as many props as you want and try to beat the crowd. It's a whole new way to play fantasy. The props act like stocks, so you can buy and sell live all game long. It's the only fantasy app that lets you make moves after the game starts, so you're not stuck with a bad pick. You can cash in on a hot start or just hang on and let them ride. Cash contests are based on real sportsbook odds. Get the same live player prop selections, odds, and cash outs as Mojo's New Jersey Sportsbook. You can trade sports just like stocks. You control the action, ride your picks, cash out, or enter new positions instantly. And my favorite about the Mojo New Jersey Sportsbook app, and there's no house advantage. Beat the crowd by building the biggest portfolio to climb the leaderboard and win cash prizes. If you know ball, that's it. Make picks, make moves, and make money. Download now on the Apple App Store and use my code DuckZone for a 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time deposit. Link in the description for more. Okay, guys, as you know, in our preview and prediction episodes, we give our 3 keys to the game. This is what I had, what we needed to do versus number 16 Oregon State to get this win. Number 1, of course, what happened last year? We had to stop the run game. We did not do that last year. So we knew this was going to be the strength of their game. We knew this is what they're going to try to do. Stop the run game was number 1 on that list. And what the hell did we do, guys? How many yards did they have? 53 total yards rushing. That is it, guys. Damian Martinez, this running back that's supposedly all Pac-12 over Bucky Irving, 13 carries for 38 total yards. That's 2.8 yards per carry. Yeah. Put 5 million check marks on number 1. We definitely stopped their run game. Number 2, forced turnovers. And look, this is not something that's been a necessary strength for the Ducks. They do not rank in the tops of college football and forcing turnovers. They haven't been horrible at it. They've certainly got their fair share of turnovers. And they did get one in this game. They got an interception. They forced a turnover. So I'll give them a check mark. They forced a turnover, and it led to a 31-7 win. So there you go. And then number 3, let your skill position players eat. And this is just something that I had a good feeling for, man. Look, I feel like Oregon, if they really wanted to, they could have matched the run game, match how they're running the ball. Oregon State was running the ball. I feel like Oregon kind of did do that. They really chewed up some clock with their run game, and they definitely used Nix's leg a little bit more. But overall, I thought the position players, man, Tej Johnson, Troy Franklin, Gary Bryant Jr., Trayshawn Holden, Terrence Ferguson, any one of those guys, get him in space. Bucky Irving, get him in space. And I thought the yards after catch was going to be very important in this game. I thought that Oregon is just more faster, have the better athletes on the outside. And I think if you get the ball to them, they can make some plays happen. Tej Johnson, What happened? Finished this game with 11 catches, 137 yards. Troy Franklin, what'd he do? Right behind Tez with 9 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Let your skill position players eat. They certainly ate, man. Combining for 20 catches, man, close to 200 yards total for these two. Like I said, Tez Johnson, Troy Franklin, they could be the first pair of wide receivers in Oregon football to have over 1,000 yards receiving since 1998. Man, that's wild. So, number 1, stop the run game, triple check. Number 2, force turnovers, check. Number 3, let your skill position players eat, triple check. Let's get it, man. All right, let's go ahead and recap week 13 for the Pac-12. This was the last week we will be doing this for the Pac-12, man. Can you guys believe this? Here, let me take the banner off so we can see the last game. Can you guys believe this, man? The last Pac-12 weekend where we had, and look, this is one thing that I was like, let's go, man. I was happy, real happy that, sorry, something was distracting me. That we got a Friday night game, right? We got to go to the day before and, experience the Civil War right after Thanksgiving. It was great to get that and then have all Saturday to watch the games, all the Pac-12 games, because, when I go to the games, I miss a lot of these games. I got to just watch the highlights, and to finally have a Saturday where I could sit down, experience all these games was great. And we started things off, we had, Cal UCLA. I think Cal whooped UCLA's booty, which was really surprising because UCLA just came off a big-time emotional win over USC, and I actually had Cal winning this game. I picked Cal to win this game because, look, when you're a college student, it's a ride of emotions, a roller coaster of emotions, and to get yourself up and ready to play each and every week while trying to go through finals, while trying to, do your SATs, trying to get through everything you need to do to be a college student and make classes on time and pass your classes and deal with the girlfriend and make it to this on time. And man, it can all add up, and it's hard to stay focused 100% and 100% motivated each and every week. And you've seen this with UCLA, man. You beat your rival, you get the big time win over USC, and then you got Cal coming in, and you're just not motivated for it. And Cal comes in, they're motivated as hell. They're having a damn good season, and they want to put the whooping on. And with Chip Kelly, with his foot looking like it's going to be out the door here soon, I just think maybe those UCLA players got down 2 scores and really just gave up. I honestly feel like you could have seen that with his Oregon State team when the Ducks got up, especially before that halftime play, the play we played, where Bo Nix rolled out to the right, threw it across the field, hit Troy Franklin, guy misses him, Heisman-type moment. And look, at that point, Oregon State scored. It was 14-7 right before the half. If they stop the Ducks and go up just down 1 score, that's a win in Oregon State's book. Well, with 58 seconds left, Bo Nix marches right down the field, makes a Heisman-type play, and scores with 6 seconds left right before halftime. And that was just an ultimate gutter. And when you're down 2 scores, the crowd, the away team crowd's into it. In this case, UCLA is at home. But you get my point here. It's like, man, with my coach almost out, it's hard to focus. It's hard to stay motivated to win the game. And I feel like that's just what happened to UCLA at a certain point. Cal poured it on him. Cal won the game. What was the final score, man? Because it's not showing up in this graphic. Cal 33-7, Cal. And that was for them to go to a bowl game. At this point, the Bruins, they finished 7-5. They could have finished 8-4, but they finished 7-5. Cal was 5-6. They needed this one, and they go 6-6 to reach a bowl game. So it's definitely important for Cal. Not so important for UCLA. They got the win over USC. That's probably their Super Bowl, right? Then you had Washington State at Washington. I was watching this one, man, throughout. And, oh, my goodness, the most fraudulent team. Now, look, I'm here to say it. I'll say it. Congratulations, Washington. 12-0. First time going 9-0 through the Pac-12. That is not easy. And congratulations for winning every game you've been winning, because every game has been close. Ever since that Oregon win, we're talking 8-point win against Arizona State, 10-point win against USC, 2-point win against the Beavers, now a 3-point game-winning kick to beat Washington State. Washington won the Apple Cup 24-21 in Week 13 at home. And this is a game where it looks scary at times for Washington. It looked like Washington State could pull this upset. But what do championship teams do? What did Washington do against Oregon? They made the plays when it was needed to win the game. And at the end of the day, man, their record's 12-0. They're undefeated. As an Oregon fan, I hate them winning. I want to see them lose every damn game. And the way they keep winning, they keep pulling it out some way or another. I hate it. But to them, they love it. And they're it might not be the way Oregon's winning. The margins that Oregon are winning, the impressive, the eye test that Oregon's giving. And that's why we're going to see it on Friday. This upcoming Friday. Who's really that real playoff team? Because I guarantee whoever wins this Pac-12 championship, it's a lock for the CFP. And is it Washington who's been undefeated? They got to beat Oregon twice, though. If they beat Oregon twice, hey, all credit to you. You deserve to go to the college football playoff. But look, Oregon, I think they lead the Pac-12 in winning margin. They've been blowing teams out. And all credit to Washington for going undefeated. But the way Oregon has been winning, they got that one loss to Washington by 3. Besides that, man, they have been blowing everybody out. It has not been close. Oregon has not been tested. And by eye test, if you were to look at these teams and take away their record, it looks like Oregon is the better team. You look at the games they've both played, the similar scores, and Oregon has beaten the similar opponents by way more and way better fashion. But Washington's undefeated, man. It's the first time since 1991, and they get it done once again. They scrape by Washington State 24-21. Here we go, number 15, Arizona at Arizona State. I had a feeling this was going to happen. Like Arizona, man, they're having an incredible year. Shout out Jed Fish and the Wildcats. The surprise of the conference, no doubt about it. They go to Arizona State. Look, I want Kenny Dillingham to succeed, man, but the program he inherited is just in shambles. They're under their own scrutiny here, where they're their own recruiting violations of the prior coaching staff had nothing to do with Kenny Dillingham or the players that are actually there. And they get self-imposed sanctions, which is odd. And now that the AD that imposed those sanctions is out, where they can't make a bowl game. So even if Arizona State was to go undefeated this year, 12-0, they couldn't make a bowl game under their own sanctions they gave themselves. So, it was just a bad year, bad situation. But look, they landed a 5-star quarterback there, Jaden Rashada, right? They got someone to build around offensively. I think Kenny Dillingham's one of the most supreme offensive minds in the country. He's one of the most motivational coach. When you see him speak, you want to run through a wall for him. He's very, very emotional in what he does. I love Kenny Dillingham and what he does offensively. Now, can he get a guy to get paired up with him to coach this defense? Can Arizona State start getting an NIL fund? I know they're kind of behind in the NIL and the recruiting to get guys to get to their program. They are going to the Big 12, which is a good sign for them. So they'll have a conference. They'll have somewhat, because you could be Oregon State, right? You could be Washington State, where they don't know what they're going to be doing. They're probably going to be in the Mountain West, right? Which is kind of sad. Guys, Noah Fafita threw for 527 yards against Arizona State, and this is a freshman. Noah Fafita is going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12 going forward. I'm telling you, because that guy is something special. Then we had number 18, Notre Dame at Stanford. Had a feeling this was going to happen. Notre Dame is just far more superior, way by far more talented team, more superior team, more physical team. Stanford, they had a good start to this game. It looked like they possibly could have put a scare on Notre Dame, but in the end, Notre Dame wins this game 56-23 on the farm. And then we got Colorado at Utah. This was a fun game. This is, Utah's at home here. I thought Utah would dominate this game. Colorado came to play, man. Colorado, they had that 3-0 start, all the hype coming into the season, and then they finished 1-7, 4-8, and Deion's first year. And look, he inherited a 1-win team at Colorado. Deion Sanders is not a bad coach. I see this narrative sometimes talking about, Deion Sanders sucks. He had all this hype. Dude, he inherited a 1-loss team. He flipped that roster, I think 95% of that roster, that 1-loss team that he inherited, he got rid of 95% of those guys and brought all type of transfers in to the likes of we never seen, man. And we all knew it. There is no way he's going to get all these guys to gel and make a conference, a conference title team in year one. There's no way. Now, a bowl game, that could have been in the cards, possibly. That's probably the highest I've seen Colorado going. I predicted 3 wins. So for him to get to 4, he got over on my prediction. And look, Colorado is in shambles when he got it, man. In shambles from the culture. Colorado has never won in the Pac-12 since they've gotten here. And they just need to redo everything from culture to everything. And Dion in year 1 has drastically made some changes real quickly. Now, some for the good, some for the bad. There's obviously things to work on, a lot of things to work on for Colorado for being 4-8. But man, they competed this year and they won some games they weren't supposed to. They started out hot. They just couldn't keep the thing going. And that's what happens with a team that overrules 95% of the roster and doesn't have real continuity coming into the season. Might win for a little bit, but what do you look like in October and November? That's when the real teams come out to play. And you see the Ducks, man. They're playing their best football in November. So that's it, guys. That's week 13 in the Pac-12. Can you believe it as it comes to a close? It makes me not even want to go to the next slide, but we got to because we got to talk about this, man. Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. Jonathan Smith, Michigan State football welcomes Jonathan Smith, former Oregon State head coach. They have hired Jonathan Smith as their next football coach, man. Smith has spent the past 6 seasons as coach at Oregon State, where he's guided the Beavers to 18 wins over the past 2 seasons, including a 10-3 mark and number 17 finish in the AP top 25 during the 2022 campaign that earned him Pac-12 Coach of the Year honors. Smith's name started swirling around the Michigan State program after the firing of Mel Tucker. Reports got even more realistic after Oregon State's loss to rival Oregon 31-7. Now, Oregon State, with a 34-35 overall mark as coach, including a 1-1 record in bowl games, as he now joins the Big Ten coaching ranks. This one hurts for Beaver fans. I feel you guys, as Smith's exit from Oregon State comes at a point where the Beavers face much uncertainty as the Pac-12 prepares to lose 10 of its 12 members ahead of the 2024 season. As you know, Oregon State and Washington State are the only schools in the conference that have not been picked up by other power leagues, which obviously puts you at a huge disadvantage financially and ultimately leads to athletic programs being less and less competitive overall. 4 Pac-12 members, USC, UCLA, Washington, and the Ducks will be joining the Big Ten next fall, which means Oregon will be hosting Jonathan Smith and the Michigan State Spartans on October 5th for the Ducks' first ever home Big Ten game, guys. That's going to be fun. So big news coming out of the Pac-12 as Oregon State loses the Civil War. They lose their Power 5 status, and they lose their head coach all in one swing. And look, part of me feels for you guys. Part of me remembers when Mario Cristobal and Oregon were starting to become in shambles. When Willie Taggart left, and I remember a certain rival fan base calling Oregon Stepping Stone U. Well, it's just so funny that the tables have turned, and now everybody wants to feel bad for them because not only do they lose their head coach, but they're also losing a conference that they've been in for a century now. Which, on that part, it's sad. Yeah, looking forward. Look, I want tradition. I want history. I want Oregon State to be good. Look, the way Washington and Oregon, how it is right now, look, if you would have told me 5-10 years ago who's our biggest rival, of course Oregon State. They're our in-start rivals. You tell me now, oh, it's Washington, man. We hate Washington. Little brother's just little brother, but we hate Washington. Look, 5 years ago, Ducks were on a decade run. Washington fans were in the bushes. They were hidden. You never heard of a Washington fan. You might ran into a couple of them, but for the most part, you never seen Washington Husky gear, man. Ever since they started winning, they come out, man. That's because Washington, look, all respect, they have a long history, but people just stay in the dark, man. It's hilarious. But hey, Jonathan Smith's out, Oregon State out, Pac-12 out. We're off to the Big Ten, but we got one more game to play for the Pac-12. And if the Ducks win this one against Washington, it will be their 3rd Pac-12 title in 5 years, guys. Look, I appreciate everybody for tuning in once again. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 Podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. If you haven't already, go hit that like and subscribe button down below. As always, guys, go Ducks. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. I give you guys 2 podcasts a week, recruit interviews, and the latest Oregon football updates on all our social media accounts at DuckZone503. Follow us on all social platforms if you're not already. We talk all things Pac-12 ball, not for long, because the Big Ten is just around the corner. Rate the podcast on Spotify if you haven't already, and I will see you guys on Wednesday night for the preview and prediction for the Pac-12 Championship. Oregon versus Washington. Possible special guest on the show. We'll see. Stay tuned. The last Pac-12 Championship game will be the biggest it's ever had, guys. We got college football playoff berth on the line for both Washington and Oregon. Rematch of their fantastic October 14th game that I was at. Knicks versus Penix for the Heisman. Friday night in Vegas, guys. See you on Wednesday night, people. As always,